Welcome to Quilt Tribe in July. We have some great blocks today. We're going to be doing 5 different techniques. And the first thing I have to show you, you know I have a new granddaughter, Sadie Kate. And here is her 4th of July picture. Isn't she cute? Oh. Yes. She's so fun. So she wore little earphones, I heard, when they went to go see the fireworks so that wouldn't hurt her ears. She still got excited, but anyway. So there's your picture for the day. I get to go see her after class today. I'm quite excited. She's got quite the social life, I have to tell you. So anyway, again, today we have our new format of our patterns, so I'm excited about that. I think our printer's doing really, really a good job. And we're going to start out by doing the horse block. And I think even the photographs show up better, don't you?
They do.
So before I was doing 12-inch blocks, but I have enough 12-inch blocks to make a king-size quilt, which is 20. So I have those. So I'm going to start on my 9-inch block. So you notice I'm a little smaller, but I think you'll like them. So here's my horse block. And it's pretty simple in design, but I decided to put a really nice fussy cut in the middle. And I think that kind of jazzed it up for you. So I'll stick that up on the board so you can get used to it. Okay, super, super easy. So all we're going to do is we're going to start with 2 squares, 1 background and 1 of your medium fabric. And of course your square size depends on what size blocks you're doing, the 6, 9, or 12. So once we get it sewn, the most important thing to remember, we're going to cut on the drawn lines, and we're also going to cut on the horizontal and vertical lines. Okay, so here's what it's going to look like. So by doing this method, we're going to be making 8 piece triangle squares, but you only need 6 for this block. So you'll have 2 extra ones. So if you miscut or something, you don't have to start over. So that's kind of nice, right? All right, so we got those all done. And let's lay out the block. So I like to start with the pretty fussy cut in the middle. And then we're just going to lay it out. And these kind of go in a direction you wouldn't think they'd go in. So you kind of have to pay attention that these darks are going out. Okay, so it goes like that. And then finally in the corners, these will be going in. And then we have finally 2 background squares for the opposite corners. And that's basically all there is to it. We can go back over to the block on the wall, and I'll show you how I recommend that you press. I recommend that you press your seams towards the corners for the top row and the bottom row, and towards the middle for the middle row. And then everything should lock together for you, okay? Pretty easy? Yay! Yay! Okay, so let's get rid of this one. I'm going to have so many blocks when I get done with this, I could probably make a huge quilt. It could cover this entire room, right? Yeah. Okay, so the next one we're going to do is called Night Owls. So here's our Night Owl block. And you notice that this is kind of a directional fabric that I chose here. So we're going to talk about, if you do have a directional fabric, how you can get it to all go in the same direction. Okay, so let's stick that up on the board. These colors are bright and cheery, aren't they? They are. I like them. Okay, so again, we're going to start out making our piece triangle squares. Same method as we just did before. Have the 2 squares of your medium and your background, 2 diagonal lines, 1/4 inch. Cut it apart so you get 8. And the next thing we're going to do, let's turn to page 6. Okay, we're going to square them up. And then on page 7, we're going to start sewing them together. Now to sew them together, you're going to sew 2 with your directional fabric going that way, because you're going to need to make 4 of them because there's 4 quarters to the block. And then 2 of them, you're just going to turn it. That's all there is, the tricky part that you have to do. Okay, so when we go to sew it, we're just going to flip the patch on the right. Let me open it up so you can kind of see what's underneath. If I can. Okay, so the patch on the right gets flipped over to the patch on the left. Okay, we're going to sew down a good 1/4 inch, and I just leave that little thread right there so I don't accidentally turn it upside down or go in a direction I don't want to. The next thing we're going to do is we have the two halves. So we're going to put those right sides together, and the seam on top is going to be going up, and the seam underneath is going to be going down, so we get a good lock there. And then we'll have one looking like that, and one looking like that. So if you compare the two, you can see how the direction fits in. Okay? So that's how that all works. So let's lay our block out and see what it looks like and see if this theory of directional fabric works for us or not, which we hope it does. Okay. So we have this on the corner. Okay, that's going the same way. That's good. The tricky thing about this block is that, yeah, that goes right, is these things are along the outside edge. You kind of want to put them in the middle, but they don't. They go on the outside edge. Okay, so we have the direction going here and here and here and here. Okay, so that's all you need to do to take care of the directional fabric, and I think it works really nicely. Again, to sew your block together, you're just going to flip it. Oops, I have a little mispress there. Sew down. You're going to open it up and then sew your final seam, and all these seams will lock together. Okay. One thing I should have told you, just to remind you, we are going to be swirling the seams of these little quarter blocks. Okay, and that's what makes the seams all lock. So that's pretty easy, huh? Yay! Yay! It's good to have some easy blocks, isn't it?
Yes. Yes, yes.
Then you can get caught up, just in case you're behind at all. Okay, quartzite. So here's our quartzite block. It's pretty, don't you think?
Oh, that's really pretty.
Yeah, I like it. Now, all these fabrics are available in our store right outside the door there, so if you find something you like, you can call and order it. Okay, this one's kind of tricky. We're going to be doing something a little bit different. So we start with a background and also a little print fabric, and that print fabric's going to be out here. You're going to start making these patches first, okay? So in order to get them to all go in the same direction, we're going to draw two diagonal lines. However, we're going to sew on the on the left side, down along here, and you can choose to pivot and just sew right along your other diagonally drawn line and go down the other side. You're going to do it that way, and then you're going to turn it and you're going to do the same thing going this way. Now, some people get nervous about sewing over here because the 1/4 inch is on their foot's wrong. So what you can do, you can just do 1/4 inch down, 1/4 inch down, 1/4 inch down, and 1/4 inch down. So that takes all the guesswork, you know, in case you don't have a foot that has a 1/4 inch indication on both sides. So once that's done, you're going to cut on all your diagonals and press it towards your medium, so it looks like this, and all your patches are going to be the same. Okay, they're all going to be going the same direction. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our dark squares, and that's the fabric that you're going to see right here. Okay, and we're just going to cut that on one diagonal. Okay, that's how you get the two. And we'll pile those all up right sides together, and they're just going to, you want to put these on the right side of your patch, and this is going to be on the left, because you have the seam going down, and when we go to put these right sides together, we don't have to worry about that seam underneath flipping up. Do you know what I mean? How they like to do that underneath. Okay, so once it's sewn, it'll look like this, and then we're just going to open it up, and we're going to press. Now, 2 of these we're going to press towards our dark, and 2 of them we're going to press this way. And the reason we're doing that, we want all 4 quarters to lock in the end, and we'll get more into that in a little bit. Okay, so just to show you, once it's pressed, can you see how it looks different? Mm-hmm. You're going to have to fight it a little bit more when you're pressing towards the seam, but just press it into submission and it'll be fine. Yeah, submission. I use steam at this point. But make sure that you don't have any little pleats or anything on this side, okay? Because once you get a pleat, it's really hard to get it out, right? Okay, so next thing we're going to do, we have these little triangles that you see in the center of the block, and all I did was I draw a diagonal line on all 4 of them, And then we're just going to take it and we're going to sew right on over our dark. Okay? Now 2 of these, once we cut off the excess fabric, 2 are going to be pressed towards this little square we just added, and 2 are going to be pressed towards this dark. Again, we want to make sure they're locked. So when you look at these blocks, okay, see how this one's pressed out, and this one's going to be pressed in. So when you look at the back, I should have that cut off, I think. Let's cut that little thing off so we can see it. Once it's sewn on, I just make sure I'm not cutting the good part off, right? I've done that before.
Me too.
Okay. Oop, my cutter's not working very good today. There, press down. Okay, can you see how these seams are all going towards the tip? Okay. Press this, make sure I'm not cutting off what I don't want to cut off. That would be pretty bad because I couldn't recoup from that. Okay, so let's look at this. See how these are all going out and these are all going in? So when I go to sew these together, these seams are going to lock and these seams are going to lock. So let's turn our original block over and you can see how everything goes. So these 2 are going in, they're opposite corners, and these are going out opposite corners. So we get really good match points. So from the front of our block, it's going to look really nice. See how these points are really good?
Very nice.
Yeah, locking seams makes a total difference of how it looks from the front. Okay, so that's a little bit different. It's funny, you have to think of like all these different ways of saying the same thing just to keep your interest rate. Okay, wampum. People were asking me what wampum is. And wampum, we think of like hitting someone or something. But it was actually like beads and things like that they used to exchange. It was like a kind of currency between the tribes. And so that's why that if you go to the beginning of the wampum, which is page 14, that's why there's little beads there. That's what the wampum is. Okay, so this is kind of a fun little block. It's different. It's got like a little modern twist on it. Okay, so you're going to like making this one because this one's easy. So we have these little squares, these little medium 3 squares, and you're just going to draw a diagonal line on the back side of all of them. Then you're going to put it to the right side of your medium, another medium, and I want you to start sewing. You want to start sewing here and go out to the corner. You never want to like start sewing in the corner and go this way because this can go down into with your bobbin. So that's why you have a little start there. So here it is sewn. And if Eric can go really close, you can see where I drew the line, and you can see how I'm just to the right of my drawn line. And the reason I chose to do that is because when I go to press this open, I will really want to make sure that that fabric extends out to that corner. So it's almost just like a thread. It's not far at all, but it does make a difference. So when we get that done, we're going to cut off the excess, and you can just take a straight edge and just put your 1/4 inch line on your ruler right there and cut it off. And we're going to press it to the corner, okay? So that's what it looks like all pressed. And then we're going to introduce our little background strip right there. And the background strip's a little bit skinnier. And we're just going to flip it right sides over. You're going to sew with the background on top, 1/4 inch down. So it looks like that. And it's good because you're not fighting the seam on the back. That's also gone down. Okay. So once you've got it done, you're going to press it so it goes towards your background. It's the way it's going to want to go anyway. And then you're going to introduce your final medium color. Will be over there. Okay. Then you're going to flip this right sides together. So it looks like that. Oops. Oh, I guess I flipped it the other way, sorry. Okay, and sew down. And then once it's sewn, it looks like this. And all we're going to do is we're going to just lay them out, and you just keep your backgrounds in the center. So it looks like that. And this is really good because you don't have to worry about any of these lining up. So you're just going to flip these right sides together, sew down, open, and then you do your final seam. And I did swirl in the center just to reduce that bulk a bit. Okay? I like it because you don't really have to match anything. There's like no diagonal seams you have to match or any of that. And I think it'd be really fun as a full quilt.
Oh, yeah.
Like you could use a jelly roll if you're doing the larger block. I just think it'd be fun. Okay, so that's wampum. And what's our final one? Yucca. Yucca. Okay, yucca is just a bunch of piece triangle squares. Here's your block. And you can see I chose 4 colors and a background. And I suggest choosing colors that are pretty much similar in density so it doesn't weight your block to one corner or the other. So for each one of the colors that I chose, you're going to make 4 piece triangle squares. And you're just going to sew a background to each one of your colors. Okay? First thing you're going to do is you're just going to draw 1 vertical line in each one of your rectangles to make 2 identical squares, and then just draw 1 diagonal line in each one. You're going to sew 1/4 inch away. I know you've probably heard me say this before, but I always like to sew this inside seam first, then I'll go around to the outside and go back down. If you sew the outside, sometimes this kind of tucks in and gets like a little squishy in there. Okay, so I have these all squared up. That took some time away, huh? Okay, so we're going to start, let's start in this upper left-hand corner, okay? So in order to do that, I have, let's see, I have the green one there. Okay, so this is just 1 corner, right? Now, for my seams, when I press my seams, I pressed 3 of them going towards my medium and 1 of them going away from my medium. At first, when I first started working on this, I had 2 and 2, but when I was playing with this earlier this week, I really think it's better just to do it like that. And you can go ahead and just press them all and just repress whatever ends up in that corner. It's simple enough. That way, these seams are going to lock here, okay? So you don't have to worry about it. And I like to lay my whole block out before I actually start sewing, okay? So this one over here, it's going to be going here and here, and this is the one going backwards. Oops, that way. Okay, and then I have the blue one come up. Okay, can you see I have 3 here of that color, and then I go over here and there's the next one. So if I go to this one, see I have 3 here, that means that this pink is going to be down here. Okay, and this time I'm going to do the gold. That's why I'm saying it really helps you to get a visual if you can get them, if you lay them all out. Just think, okay, I have pink, that means the pink goes here. So that means this gold, the 4th one needs to go over here, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. It's good to get a good visual on this guy, okay? And I have the seam in the corner going towards my background, okay? So let's check it again. I have the blue, blue. The green goes to the green, pink to the pink, and gold to the gold, okay? And I would just sew 1 of these quarters at a time. Don't try and do this, just deal with this and get it done, okay? So I have them sewn, and you can see what they look like sewn. Okay, I have this, and I have, there you go. See, they're all sewn. And we're gonna go ahead and do the swirling in the middle. And you want to do that so when we go to sew these quarters together, these are all going to lock for you, these little seams. So everything's good. And I did swirl the one in the middle as well. So there's nothing really difficult in this block. It's just, you just have to be methodical and just kind of think about it. And I also tried just sewing these rows together. It's much more logical in my head to sew the quarters. So I recommend that you do it that way. All righty. So that's it. That's it for Quilt Tribe. Thank you.